Hello and welcome to your Daily Cup of Football. We said we weren't coming back for a US only podcast. Well, guess what, James? We lied because, as you could tell by James's background, my sunglasses, and a special guest all the way from Glendale, California, at the ABC7 studios. Christian Manukian makes his appearance for the first time in 2021. Christian, thank you for joining us.
Oh, always a pleasure.
The group chat was popping off last night, boys. And you know why? Because for the first time in 8 years, the United States men won a competitive game. Yes, it was a Nations League. Don't tell me.
Oh, that was competitive. Matter. No. It matters.
Arguably one of the most, an instant classic U.S.-Mexico game. The U.S. beats Mexico 3-2 in Denver, or was it Mexico City? I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. U.S. wins 3-2 over Mexico in the Nations League. Basically the biggest moment for this young group of Americans. Me and James talked about it a couple days ago. I'll let you guys talk, but wait, hold on one second.
What?
I have something coming in here. We have someone.
Who is it?
Is someone hacking the Zoom? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
What is going on?
Who is this? Someone hacked the Zoom.
A masked invader.
Live from Reno. Or is it Sparks? I'm not sure. We have our Nevada correspondent, Samuel Doctorian. Wow, what a time to be alive. Sam is saying hi. He's taking time out of his actual work schedule, so he might be sneaking around, but it's fine. Sam, we were just getting into the game, the moment. Yeah.
Just now?
Yeah, just now. No, I'm serious. Just now.
Yeah, we just started.
So your time is
live.
Perfect.
This is live.
How much time do you have?
I have like maybe 15 minutes.
Okay, then I'll move past all the setup. The U.S. won.
No, do whatever you need.
Okay, you might just disappear.
That's fine.
James and I talked about the game on whatever that was, Saturday, and I was thinking about that and what we talked about.
And how smart I was and how right I was.
I don't want to take a lot of credit, but I said the game would go to overtime, and I said Christian Pulisic would score the winning goal.
Oh yeah, you did that too.
You did.
Everything else I was wrong about, including my own feeling about the game in terms of me being who cares about the result? Let's just go play. 5 minutes into the game, I threw that all out, and I was
I told you.
Basically, being Greg's assistant on the sideline, screaming at Weston McKennie to find the right pass, which he was at some points in the game. But I did care about the result, and the result was pretty perfect. So before we go into, I have a list, Sam. I showed them earlier. I have a list of the shenanigans that went on last night.
Oh, there are so many.
But we're gonna go just your emotions at the final whistle. I'll start with Sam. What were your emotions at the final whistle, which was like 130 minutes into the game, in the 10th minute of extra time?
I was waiting for the ref to call like the goalie jumped off too early, like he got to redo the penalty. Someone stepped in the box, something like that. As you know, as being fans of the United States, as being a Raider fan as well, you always wait. You gotta wait a couple minutes for it to develop. But after that save, I was still just nervous. It's still some time, but just disbelief and shock, but also just proud. I would say that. Just like James called the Eagles back. That's how I felt.
I'm still waiting for them to take away the win. I'm still waiting for the announcement from CONCACAF. Christian, what were your feelings?
Well, I had a unique experience with this game because I was at work last night. I watched till the first period of extra time ended, and then I headed home. And I watched the entire game again with my dad, who had DVR, hadn't had a chance to watch it. So I relived the drama twice.
Oh my gosh!
Plus, I got the dose of all that extra time drama with the Pulisic goal and the Ethan Horvath save, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So after watching it twice, it really sunk in how resilient this team was. And yeah, I think Sam said it. I was proud for the first time in a while during a U.S. game. Like, this team is young. Some of them are younger than us, and they're going to be around for a while. So proud and excited.
James? I think I mean, maybe you want to let the bald eagle talk, but
Yeah,
what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, pride is definitely there. Mostly relief. At the final whistle, I was relieved that it was over, and that there weren't going to be any more fights. A little disappointed that I wasn't going to see Guardado get knocked out by McKenny.
Yeah.
This little idiot. I mean, sorry. Wonderful
James.
man.
Okay,
Wonderful man. Of
I
course.
didn't know he was still on the team.
I don't know. He
Came-
was still playing. Like, he's still alive. He's like 100.
He came in and we got a rounding ovation. He got an applause, everything.
Horvath ended his career, so it's fine. Anything else, James?
Yeah, it's just relief. That was what my heart was stopping. So I was trying to resuscitate
Yeah.
myself. So yeah, it was mostly just relief.
My reaction. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Platoon. Willem Dafoe's character. His reaction is the opposite of what I was feeling because I think he's dying. But on his knees, looking up to the heavens. I was looking up to the heavens, thanking. I don't know who I was thanking. Ethan Horvath, Pulisic, the referee for finally blowing the whistle. You haven't watched that movie, James?
I've never even heard of that movie.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, I fell to my knees and celebrated and hurt my knees a little bit, but it's fine.
Like David Luiz did, in the World Cup 2014 after Colombia game, he just plopped.
Yeah, basically. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So let's see. Let me just go through if somehow you did not watch what happened, the viewers or listeners. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this in as fast as possible. U.S. got off to the worst possible start you could get off to in a soccer game ever. They gave the ball away like it was indoor soccer on a Saturday. And Tecatito Corona scores 1 minute in. And at that point, I said, it's fine. We'll lose. I don't really care. It's fine. Then the U.S. kind of were getting back into it. Kind of, not really. Had half chances. Mexico seemed to double their lead with a header from Hector Moreno. And at that point, I thought, well, it's going to be one of those days. We're just going to get smacked. VAR, for the first time in CONCACAF competitive history, stepped in and said, we can mess up VAR just as well as everyone else in the world, and called it offside. Still not sure if it was offside.
His foot.
Where's the line?
Tim Reeves' foot was there too. Anyway,
why were they manually reviewing
hold on,
offside
James,
call?
We'll get to that. I'm going through the recap.
Okay.
It's still 1-0, which at that point was, it almost
no.
felt like a goal when Mexico lost a goal. And then we got a corner kick, and which proved to be the theme of the night for the U.S. in terms of the game. Weston McKennie dominating the air over Mile High. It was Mile High. He was going 2 miles high. He jumps over everyone, heads it off the post. Giovanni Reyna. James finally says his actual name, and he slots it home from about 3 yards out. I don't know, maybe 6 yards out. 1-1. And it stayed 1-1 till about the 79th minute or so, maybe a little before that, when this was a great substitution. You got to give it to Tata Martino. He brings on the little guy, Lainez from Real Betis, who at one point, Matt Miazga made a short joke about him. And, he came on and basically destroyed Tim Ream, which was, we were all waiting for it to happen. He finally did it, cut on his left foot and shot it through traffic, and he scored. At that point, I thought it was over. And then shockingly, we got a corner kick from some shoddy defending by, I don't know who that was, that bald guy on the right side. Yeah. He kicked it off himself. I was like, okay, cool. We got a corner. There's no way we'll score. And again, it's Weston McKennie. And this time he didn't hit it off the post. He hit it in the corner. Memo got a touch on it, didn't save it. They didn't have anyone on the post. Thank you very much. 2-2. We're going to extra time. In extra time, we'll get into the craziness, but basically in the second half of extra time, US got a penalty kick after VAR. He looked at it for about 25 minutes. Tata Martino had enough time to come over and tap him on the shoulder, get sent off. The ref gives the most emphatic penalty spot point I've ever seen in my life.
First down.
Yeah, basically a first down call. If a player was doing the first down call, not the ref. Pulisic, who had a pretty mediocre game, I would say, steps up and does what the star does and puts it in the top corner. And at that point, I thought, we're going to win. Wow, we're not going to go to penalties. And then handballs, and we'll get to that with James on the first segment of Get Off My Lawn with James. Penalty called. I think it was Mark McKenzie. It's touched his hand. Yeah. So by law, penalty. And Ethan Horvath, who came off the bench in relief of Zach Steffen, saved the penalty from Andres Guardado, Mexico's most probably experienced player on the field, maybe other than Ochoa, but still, I think Guardado is, I would have bet a lot that he was going to score. Bad penalty, but a good save. And somehow the U.S. lifts the Nations League and lifts our collective spirit as a nation. Well, I don't know, as a nation, as my my heart and all of our hearts. So, okay, that was a lot. I put a list of the shenanigans portion of it, of what happened. But I want to go around and each one of you tell me your favorite like non-soccer moment, like of just pure CONCACAF shenanigans that you thought, and we'll see if everyone hits something on my list, and if not, I'll fill in some of the stuff. But we'll start again, Sam. Your favorite just wild scenes, craziness, chicanery moment of the game.
Oh, it was hands down the refs pointing first down for the penalty. But that was amazing. It was just so, he was probably waiting for that. He was so just ready for it. You know how in basketball they do the charging calls? They're like, ugh. So that's
But the ones where they do that, what is that? Like a
block. That's
Block.
block.
yeah,
But
they,
then
don't,
the
they have passion.
they go forward like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So he might have been a basketball ref before. That's probably why. But so satisfying to see him do that. And I don't know why. Maybe he was satisfied too. I think he was wanting that. He was wanting a penalty. He was just maybe from the beginning he was like already thinking. Right when he saw the VAR replay, he's like, I'm gonna call this, but I'm just gonna make it here. I'm gonna milk it, and I'm gonna go for it. So yeah, that was my favorite moment.
Christian.
I said in the group chat yesterday, hands down, my favorite moment was fans throwing things onto the field. That's the unpopular opinion, but that's what makes the rivalry a rivalry. It's a scapegoat to hate Mexico and Mexico fans, and it lights the fire into the US. I loved seeing Tyler Adams. He's like, come on, give me more. And Reggie Cannon's like, yeah. They're like instigating the crowd, and that was some good old school. It felt like the rivalry had reignited overnight during that game, and that was part of it. So that was, I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Well, yeah, that was the thing, and this you don't usually see people actually get struck because the aim of these drunk people usually is bad. But tonight or last night, it was good. They got Gio Reyna, and then they got their own player, which was pretty good. That was poetic justice that the Mexican fans. And we're assuming they're Mexico fans. We don't know. We didn't see everyone throwing it, but I'm going to take a guess.
They were because where the American fans were. They were all bunched in one place because there's only 6 of them.
Yeah. Okay. So we got ref pointing, people throwing projectiles, or as the English announcers like to call them, missiles, which I like. It doesn't make any sense. James, what was your moment of chicanery?
I was gonna pick the throwing specifically when they hit their own guy. He looked so defeated. He was like, "Oh,
we
man."
don't condone violence against players. Okay, we don't. We just want to put that out there as a show.
That clear.
But yeah,
I guess I have to pick all the spats. Like,
okay,
whenever there's a foul, the Mexican players decide now is the time to get the other player red carded, and so they just surround the ref. Spain doesn't do it really anymore, but
that's why they've fallen off as a nation. As a soccer
Mexican national team has taken up the mantle and say, we will be the team that is the most annoying to the ref. It's really going to help our cause, and it never works. They just yell at the ref, and nothing seems to happen, or they like start shoving, and they're just. It's always amusing. I just sit there smiling like, what are you guys doing? What do you think you're going to accomplish? That has never resulted in the ref saying, you know what? You make a solid argument. I'm taking that goal away. That wasn't a goal. You're right, Guardado. Thank you for telling me. Thanks for sharing your opinion. That never happens.
Well,
it's always amusing to see those knuckleheads try and convince the ref after he's made a decision.
Yeah, I'm wearing these because in honor of Clint Dempsey. If you watch the CBS Sports coverage, which was good at some points and also very cringy at other points, we're not going to get into that. But he put the shades on, was doing a good job. I'm gonna take these off so I can read my list. You're like, put them back on.
Should I turn my background off?
If you want, if it was a good addition, James. Here's what I have down. Let's see. We got this isn't my favorite thing. We had anti-discrimination protocol stoppage time. That was good. CONCACAF, after about 20 years of letting homophobic chants rained down from the stands, decided let's just stop the game for 3 minutes and see what happens.
CONCACAF really making a difference.
So that was
great.
something we got. We got Hector Herrera, should have been sent off 3 times for studding Ethan Horvath, going for the chokehold on.
He didn't. Oh, that stud! I didn't even think of that
I
stud.
thought it was almost
That's how we
like-
got the yellow. Then he got the chokehold on Weston McKennie, who they put up a photo from last Gold Cup final where I think it was Guardado who had Weston McKennie by the throat. And I think after the game, McKennie said, yeah, they really like to go for my throat for some reason. And then Tim Weah was studded by Hector Herrera. And somehow he's still in the field. So that was one. I have, let's see, Mexico fan streaker. No one had that. Not streaker, I guess.
Yeah.
He was clothed, but
You gotta commit. You gotta be
pitch
naked, man.
invader.
Come on.
Pitch invader. We had 7 minutes of added time in extra time, and they played 10 minutes of extra time because there was extra time in the extra time in the extra time. And I think my favorite was when the U.S. embraced the dark arts that James is speaking of and also crowded the ref a bit and just leaned in to the we're winning in the end of the game. The other team is mad. So are their fans. We're going to take it to the corner. At the very end, the ball was basically in Mexico's half. Christian Pulisic dribbling to the corner, getting fouled as you're supposed to do, and getting Guardado, who's, done the same thing his entire career, mad enough to try to pick him up, which then makes everybody mad. And then we all rush over, and then fans start throwing stuff, and they're
More
mad.
objects are thrown.
Inject it right.
It
in my
was the
veins.
best. It was the best part.
More
And even like
missiles.
right before Guardado's penalty, Kellen Acosta just starting some fights on the edge of the touchline for no reason, just to kind of, let's just make this longer. So I didn't give an answer there, but I was just giving some of the
Don't forget Berhalter going after throwing.
Berhalter tripped on a water bottle thing, kept his feet nicely, and was able to keep play. He was alive on the touchline, and I liked it. I liked Berhalter's performance, and also good shoes, I guess, or boots, whatever. Mauricio Du was pointing him out. I'm not a boots guy, but I'm sure Christian, being the resident fashion expert, knew what they were referring to. But
I have to look that up actually.
Mo, do you remember what he said? We're gonna sound really dumb if we try, so I'm not even
I
gonna.
don't remember what he said, but it was like, "Ooh, are those?" And then insert.
And then they went down to the touchline. That's why we have silent reporters to like give a fit check on the footwear of the coaches. Okay, so that was the game. We didn't even really do it justice, probably, because it was one of the most intense games I think I've watched in a long time. The other part of it that made it good was there was fans. This was like the first one game. Like, I've seen games recently with fans and you can tell it's different, but this one, it was like, yeah, this is why soccer is different. If this was played behind closed doors, like I've been watching some Euro warm-up friendlies and it's like silent and it's like very sterile. And it's like, is this even soccer? And then you watch that and you're like, this is like, it's not even really soccer in a way. Cause James was saying like, it's not gonna be a pretty game. It wasn't a pretty game, but I would take that like every day of the week over, a technically good game. Oh, look at the passing. Look at all that. There's the intensity of it and the drama that I think was crazy. And that's why we come back for it, is like to get that in our veins, the feeling of like, is Pulisic going to put this in and be a hero, or is he going to miss? Because I was worried. But let's go to, unless anyone else has any other things to say on the craziness surrounding it and the atmosphere and the experience of watching the game. Anybody?
So much to say. I don't know. Are we going to talk more about all those individual things, or is that it? Is that the last one?
I mean, we could go on for 4 hours if we go over each individual, like the choke, the streaker, the throwing, the Martino.
There was more drama in this game than a telenovela.
Yeah.
Well
More
said.
twists and turns.
It was
More
it was better written.
Yeah,
Oh.
scripted.
Well, did you want to?
Horvath's Ethan's hometown in Denver.
That was I wasn't too worried when he came on, to be honest. He played in the Switzerland friendly a couple weeks ago, or not even a couple weeks. It was earlier than that. But he actually played pretty well. The U.S. lost, but he made some big saves. And so when he came on, I wasn't like, oh no, we're in big trouble, because I don't think Stefan wasn't having like a great game, and his distribution was pretty poor. Not that Horvath's was better, but it wasn't like a huge drop off. How did you all feel when that happened? I mean, obviously it's sad for Stefan, but it wasn't seem like a big drop off.
No, I thought he played really, really well, and they both made a couple of key saves. There was one save, I think it was still in normal time, but at the very end of normal time, where a Mexico player went through on goal. He was trailed closely by a U.S. defender, took a shot. I thought it was going in, and I thought Horvath made a save, and then he picked it up and took it for a goal kick. But it looked like he had made a great save to deny what looked like a goal. So Stefan had one of those in the first half. They each had like one or two big saves, and obviously Horvath with the penalty. But that's not easy to come in as a sub, midway through the game in such a big game and play as well as he did. I guess being a keeper is all about confidence, and he was full of confidence by the end of the game.
Yeah, and no spillage, a couple times it bobbled in front of him, but no rebounds really. Like even Ochoa gave away a couple of rebounds where Josh Sargent almost got on the end of. Not to say that Horvath is better than Ochoa, but Horvath just was solid. And he said after the game, which was it's pretty obvious, but also something you don't think about. He's like, yeah, as a backup goalkeeper, you never think you're going to have to come into the game. And given that maybe it helped him because he wasn't even thinking about it, he's like, I got to go in the game, as opposed to other bench players who kind of know they're going to get a run out. In terms of players who impressed you guys, and I guess you could mention one that maybe was a disappointment, but who kind of went up a little bit in your estimation, and maybe who didn't have as great of a game, Sam?
I was just surprised how Weston McKennie won every single corner header. It was really, even the one that Ochoa saved, that was him too.
Mm-hmm.
It took a little deflection, but he got onto it first. And all those three corners was him every single time. It wasn't like it was the zone. I think they were doing zone coverage.
Yeah,
Mexico was
kind of, yeah.
Could have been contributing to why he. But it was him every time. It wasn't.
And they're all little. They're all little guys.
This
Mexican national team is not full of large men.
It's true, but he's not. He's also not that tall. He's not like John Brooks, who could have won every header, but he was just there. He really wanted it, and I was just really, really surprised every time it was him.
Mm-hmm. And maybe someone who wasn't as good as you wanted or thought would be.
Oh, let's see.
Or you don't have to. You can keep it positive.
Well, Tim Ream was just like every time it went that way. It was just like, I don't know about that. I guess we kind of knew that from the start. But I guess I would say Tim Ream. And when Linus got it and cut inside, I was like, well, there's no way we're stopping that.
Yeah.
It was just there's no way. Too much space.
Christian, what about you?
I was also going to say McKennie, but for the sake of a different opinion, I think Gio Reyna was pretty impressive. It's the first time I've honestly seen him play in a long time because I don't watch too much German soccer, so I only see the highlights if he scores.
Mm-hmm.
But watching him play and mainly watching him link up with the other U.S. attackers, at times there was a lot of fluidity, and it was very exciting to see him and Pulisic and Josh Sargent and all those forward players making passes and creating chances. But I like that he's alongside Pulisic as the future of U.S. soccer, and I thought he played pretty well. I was also going to say Tim Ream as a guy who didn't impress, and I wanted him to impress because I just want the underdog to step up to the plate, and he just didn't.
Yeah. James?
So I think other than the people you've already mentioned, I think the goalies, in my personal estimation, both of them, Horvath and Stefan, I think, how'd you put it? Raised my preconceptions about how good they were. Yeah. So I didn't think they were bad. I didn't know anything about Horvath. I didn't think Stefan was bad, but I wasn't like, oh yeah, I think he can save it. But but now I think about it, he made some big saves against Honduras, and he did it again yesterday. And Horvath as well. We've already talked about a couple of his saves. So goalkeeping department, you don't think about how important goalkeepers are until they start making mistakes, like Howard did in an important game that I won't talk about anymore. But I think there were a lot of people who probably could have done a lot more. So I'm going to pick on Team Ream again because I hate him. So he was awful. He decided that he was going to bite every single time, and he lost that bite every single time, and they went in on him that side every single time. You'd think after the first few times, you'd be like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. I'm not that fast and not that good. Maybe I'll just stop. But he decided to just keep going, and that made him look like an idiot. And Samuel talked about the Linez goal. I maybe this is a bit much, but I genuinely believe that I could have defended that situation better than he did. It was
Wow.
like it was pretty. I was watching. Was like, okay, he's not going to shoot. He's trying to fake you, and he's just like, well, I'm just going to stand here, Oh no, he scored. Whatever can we do? It was ridiculous. Okay, Linez, he's wannabe Messi from 2011. Okay, um, he's got a little bit of skill, but it really helps when you just dive in on him all the time and bite every single time he does his little fake with his left foot. You're just gonna lose if you do that. So he was the worst player on the field by far. But a lot of other players did not cover themselves in glory in this game. Particularly McKenzie, I think his name is. With Tim Ream, maybe okay. Tim Ream should never wear a United States shirt again. McKenzie, we'll give him another shot. He looked young, so I hope he is young, not
Yeah,
an
he's
older guy.
young.
He was at fault for the first goal. He passed it, the most telegraphed pass I've ever seen. What did he think was going to happen? Did he think
pass.
it was yeah? There was one guy there. Corona's not an idiot, so he's like, well, okay, this pass is going to go right here, and it did. And he goes and he gets an easy goal.
That's
And
the first
he
thing
made.
learning club. You don't pass square, you do diagonal passes.
And if you make it square, you better hit it hard, or you better make sure there's no one around. And that was not his only mistake. He made a lot of passing errors in that game. Not just that one. It just so happened that one turned
Yeah.
into a goal. Can I keep going? Because there are more
Okay,
people who didn't
we
do it.
got a time limit now. We got the people in the box are telling me we got 9 minutes left. So keep
Oh my
going.
gosh. Okay, Josh Sargent was pretty poor, and his replacement sort of P. Folk. That's what it said on the back of his jersey.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's what he prefers to be
Sibachu,
called.
it's his mom's maiden name. It's
Well,
Jordan
he says he wants to
Sibachu.
be called
Yeah,
P.
no,
Fook,
I know.
so I'm going to
call
call
him that. Yeah, call him that.
And he was bad too. He was probably worse than Sargent. Sargent did more than he did. They were both kind of lost.
Could have used Daryl DK.
He was there. He was the man of the celebrations. He was getting in all the celebrations. He even got a medal, I think. But we'll see him at the Gold Cup, I think.
So those were their particularly poor performers, in my estimation.
I think I won't bury Tim Ream anymore. Everyone's buried him everywhere on Twitter, everywhere. I think the only reason he was in there, and I don't know if this is a logical reason that coaches just think, and it's not really worth anything, but it's basically probably because of his experience that he was in the team.
What, getting relegated with Fulham?
I mean, international experience. He's played at the national team. He's played in these kind of games. Has he performed well in those games? Usually not, but he's been on the field. I think we missed in both these games and the friendly. Aaron Long picked up a bad injury I think it was for Red Bull and Achilles. So he's out for a while. He's the normal partner, or at least recently, for John Brooks. So I think the big winner, I'll give a specific player, but just overall, I think this was a good experience for all these guys to go through. For Mark McKenzie to make this bad pass 1 minute in against Mexico in this game instead of at Azteca in a qualifier. So I think it was a good thing that these guys got this experience and got literally everything you could have thrown at you in a CONCACAF game. Referees, there's going to be VAR, there's going to be Mexico players trying to egg you on, everything. And coming back from a goal down twice, I think that's invaluable experience. And that's what this was actually for, I think, the Nations League. And the bonus is they got a win. And it's also an emotional and psychological boost that in other tough games coming up, which there will be in this cycle, they can draw from okay, we're down here on the road against whoever, because it was at home, but it kind of felt like a road game, which is sad, but that's just the way it is. That we could come back. We have the ability to do this even when we're not playing at our best, which they were not. I think the biggest positive from a soccer perspective is what Christian was talking about in terms of the build-up play a little bit. Christian Pulisic didn't have a great game. It's hard for me to say he was went down in my stock, because he didn't, because he's just still our best player. He definitely seemed to have just a little tentative, and also just probably coming off a really long season, and we should probably cut him a bit of a break. Having said that, some of the brightest points I thought were when he picked up the ball and started driving at the back line and was making so there was some good back and forth play. It's just the final third we didn't really have it. Josh Sargent, I think, it's going to be a question. He's not really there yet. He's still super young, and we basically decided he's the number 9, which is a lot of responsibility. I don't think he's that bad. I think he just hasn't scored the goals. He does a lot of other stuff pretty well. in terms of connecting the play. He doesn't score. Like the chance he did have in this game was basically the rebound that came to him. It was a
Don't forget
difficult
the one he just slipped out of taking his shot.
yeah, those two. Yeah. If you're a striker in form, you at least put both of those, make the goalie make a save. The second one was pretty hard, but those are half chances that you're gonna like sometimes get that you need to convert. I agree. I'm gonna just say McKennie because I just thought he didn't have a great game the whole time on the field playing, but I thought he stepped up as a leader and was kind of getting in there when he needed to, making tackles. And also the scuffles are part of the game. I mean, you got to get in there and say, okay, Mexico can do this, but we're going to come up, and when they slide our goalkeeper, we're going to charge in there and get in people's faces. And he was in there all the time. And I think he grew into the game. And obviously his headers were the reason the U.S. was even in this game. And set pieces have always been a thing with the U.S. historically. And it's kind of cool to see this young team, which is completely different from those guys, coming in and saying we can be dominant on set pieces, because I think that's a huge thing to combine with being able to play soccer. Is we have a set piece, we're going to make these count, we're going to make these dangerous. So who went down in my estimation, I think Serginho Dest had a week 2 games. He's playing for Barcelona. He's not really a fullback, but we're playing him as a fullback. He's more of an attacking winger fullback. Can't really defend.
He is.
He plays.
I thought he played fullback for Barcelona.
But fullbacks for Barcelona don't really defend that much. So for the US, he's going to have to defend. So that's a question for me. And I also thought Kellen Acosta was good, playing center mid and then sliding in for Ream and actually being solid and not giving away the store. So and I kind of went all over there, but those are my thoughts on it. So we have only a few more minutes left. So going forward,
for part 2.
Well, I don't want to. These guys have places to go. I mean,
I've been here.
Their time
all
is
day.
valuable.
I've been in the corner of my bedroom right now. Ever since the game ended, I've just been sitting here.
I also think we go long-winded, so this time is actually good to keep us focused. So before we go, you're kind of going forward. What is this kind of you guys feel about for the national team perspective going forward? Is this something you change your perspective, or you were excited before the game and you're still excited about going forward? And keep it under 20 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Sam.
Before the game, didn't expect too much. I mean, I know that we have talent, but like you guys said in your other podcast, they haven't played together much. They've been all in the clubs, and now with the Gold Cup coming up too, and then World Cup qualification, I'm hoping this lifts up everyone's spirits and they just dominate everyone. I'm sure they'll have a couple of slip-ups here and there, but Gold Cup, I'm hoping maybe we'll go to Allegiant Stadium for the final.
Ooh. We'll get on that. I'll get my people on that. That'd be fun. August, yeah.
I'll fly in.
Christian, what are your thoughts as we head out?
I feel optimistic as well. Looking at the 2 lineups, we Mexico has a little bit of a aging roster. They have some young players, but they are where we were a few years ago, maybe like at the end of the last World Cup qualifying cycle. And we have now completely refreshed our roster. And I think, these guys don't always play together because of the European commitments. So the more games they can get as a unit, as a full 11, and especially in these big moments where there's, the fights and the goals and the tense moments, that builds that camaraderie. So they can get more games under their belt as a unit, a complete unit. 2 to 3 years, this team is going to be something to reckon with. I think I'm feeling pretty optimistic.
James?
Yeah, well, they already said what I was thinking. To add on to that, before our last podcast, I said I was pretty sure we were going to qualify. Now I'm very sure. And just another element, just outside of the U.S.'s perspective, is that the best Mexico has? Because that wasn't very good. Let's be honest. That wasn't very good. We didn't play very well, and we can talk all day about how all of our players didn't really show up. But is that the best they can throw at us? That wasn't very good. I was sitting here, like in the first half, I was thinking we might not win this game, but Mexico are not that good. They're not. I said it half as a joke. Was that Saturday or Friday or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
But now they proved it. I said they prove it as a joke, and they did prove it seriously, because if you're looking at that as a Mexico fan, like, oh yeah, we were so great, we dominated, we deserved to win that game. It's like, well, maybe you deserved to win, but you didn't really play that well at all. In fact, they misplaced as many passes as the United States did. So, yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
All right, well, they're telling me I only have a minute left or less than. So before we get cut off abruptly, we'll end it there. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys can come back as we do other podcasts this summer. But thank you for kind of jumping on here. This was kind of in the last 24 hours we decided to do this. So thank you guys, Samuel and Christian, and James as always. We're going to leave it there. So until next time, we'll talk to everyone later.